Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here. This is my reaction to Daleks Episode 3, Planet of the Mechinoids, which was released on the BBC YouTube channel just over an hour ago. Before we start, look who's on the cover of Radio Times. It's a new Dalek, and this is the first, along with a picture inside, the first proper look of the Dalek. Yeah, we saw a bit of it on the poster that was released earlier in the week, and we saw the leaked photo, but this is the proper actual picture, and got a bit inside, page 8. Nice 4-page thread. Here we go. Looks pretty cool. Yeah, it does look like it's going to be the old. It's going to be the reconnaissance Dalek, or at least similar to the reconnaissance Dalek, and it looks like it's going to be radio controlled rather than an operator inside. So Barnaby Edwards will not be returning for this episode. Nicholas Pegg will not be returning for this episode. None of the other Dalek operators will be returning for this episode. Then again, considering what happened in 2017 with Doctor Who magazine, I don't know whether Nicholas Pegg would return even if they were having Dalek operators. That's a thing for another time, or for you to go and check out later if you're interested. But regardless, the Dalek design looks pretty cool. I don't know whether this is going to become a permanent new design for at least for the Chibnall era of the show, or if it's going to be just another one-off or occasional use. It might just be used for the Chibnall era. Maybe the next showrunner might have their own Dalek design. Stephen Moffat tried to do that, with mixed results. Can you see it on the back here? Yeah, so there's one right there. With mixed results, shall we say. But I personally liked the Paradigm Daleks, and it's a big shame and a bit of a disgrace that the fan base didn't let them have a chance to show what they could do. I mean, fair enough, you don't like the design, but at least give them a chance. No, without time, the Daleks didn't give them a chance, so yeah. Anyway, on to Daleks Episode 3. I don't really have a lot to say about this one, despite the Mechinoids being this one. The Mechinoids, of course, being the Daleks' adversaries from the 1965 story, The Chase, which is my personal favourite story from Season 2, and my second favourite 60s Dalek story. Second or third, along with, it's either, if it's not second, then Evil the Daleks is, and if Evil the Daleks is third, Chase is second. My favourite's Daleks Master Plan. Power would probably come fourth, then Invasion Earth, then the original, the Daleks, and then Mission to the Unknown. But that's for the 60s. But yeah, The Chase was a great story for me. I know it's not a very popular one. It's liked, but it's not a hugely popular one. I personally love it. This story features the Mechinoids who were first introduced in that story, and the Daleks go to them to seek for their help. Whilst the Dalek Emperor talks with the Queen of the Mechinoids, which is interesting, the Mechinoids have their own queen, and voiced by Anjali Mahindra, who Doctor Who fans will know played Rani Chandra in the Sarah Jane Adventures Series 2, Story 2, Day of the Clown, up until the end of the show, and also plays the Skifra Queen in the Series 12 episode of Doctor Who, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror. And those who really know about, not really know, but those who know about actors outside of the show will also know she's the partner of Sacha Dhawan, who plays the current Master, amongst other roles. So it's interesting that we got her voicing a character in this story. She's also done some Big Finish, but more people who are more aware of Big Finish and cast of Big Finish stuff will know about her involvement there, Sacha Dhawan's involvement there, and other actors' involvement in that story. Those stories and those audios. But yeah, it's interesting that Anjali Mahindra voices the Mechinoid Queen in this episode, and the Dalek Emperor is attempting to form an alliance with them. Being Daleks, of course, they've got their typical Dalek terminology and ideology, which contradicts with the Mechinoid one, but eventually there are some sort of conversations going around. Meanwhile, the strategist Dalek teams up with a scientist to have a look at the planet's defences that the Daleks accidentally damaged. And while this is all happening, the Emperor Daleks' guards are getting impatient and start fighting the Mechinoids, because the Daleks and the Mechinoids fighting each other, it's inevitable. Beyond that, and a couple of funny, witty lines from the Mechinoid Queen, contrasting with the Daleks, there isn't really much I can talk about. with this episode. It's just it feels actually more fillery, to be honest. I mean, the first I prefer it to the first episode because the first one is definitely a very starting point story. It's definitely starting up, but I think last week was a bit more interesting with the Sentinel and the strategist started going alone for half the episode to recruit a Dalek army, only to discover that the entity has taken it over, and we learn a little bit about it. But this time around just feels a bit fillery, despite having the Mechinoids in it. It's fun, it's enjoyable, it's likable, but it does feel a bit more filler. It does feel like it's just there to fill time. At the end, the Emperor Dalek reveals it's brought the entity to the Mechinoids, whether to help destroy the Mechinoids or whether to show its power, or that's just because the entity's following the Daleks. Either way, either way, it just feels like a filler episode. I don't know whether the strategist Dalek is aware of the plan or not, because it's starting to wonder what the heck's going on with the defense systems. But besides that, this episode just feels like a filler episode, which is a shame because it's a Mechanoid episode. It's the Daleks and the Mechanoids teaming up / fighting each other, both in the episode. Both happen. This should have been really great. This could have been the best episode. Maybe next week we'll do something a bit more exciting with that. But as a whole, this episode just is fun but filler. It's great to see the Mechanoids back, and there's some great animation. Anjali Mahindra does a great job voicing the Mechanoid Queen, and I love the interactions between her and the Dalek, Emperor Dalek, and also the strategist Dalek and the scientist. But ultimately, this one's actually just filler, and it is a bit disappointing. I'm actually more excited about this Dalek, and this I was worried that they were going to have a similar. After Resolution, I was worried they were going to have a similar design come again. But honestly, it looks pretty cool. So I'm interested to see how it goes, how this one plays out. Heck, we might even come to accept this new design for the as the temporary current design. Although there are still going to be some bronze Daleks there, and that might be the whole point of the Revolution and the new Dalek Civil War. This will be the third one in the show's on-screen history, following Evil of the Daleks and the Revolution / Remembrance one. From 1967 and 1985/88, respectively. There's probably a few others in expanded media. But yeah, as for the the webcast Daleks, it's a good episode. I prefer it to the first one, but it does feel very fillery, which seems to be a thing. Seems to be an issue with some of these episodes. We've only had 3 so far. I don't know how many there are going to be. I think 5, but I could be wrong about that. But I do think episode 1 just felt like a very starty episode, and it was taking its time to get to the point. Episode 2 was much better. That was I liked episode 1, but I thought episode 2 was a bit more exciting, a bit more was going on, and we were progressing the plot. And then episode 3 kind of slows it down again just for some filler. Yeah, we get the Mechanoids, but it's still filler. It'd be more entertaining if the Daleks and the Mechanoids actually did some stuff together. The strategist is working with the scientist Mechanoid, but that's as far as it gets, apart from a few funny lines, and that seems to be a thing. As great as the Dalek interactions with other creatures in these episodes are, it's becoming a little bit repetitive. I like the funny, witty conversations they have with each other and how the other aliens perceive the Daleks, but it is starting to be a repetitive. We got that with the first episode's robots, the Sentinel in the second episode, and now the Mechanoids in the third, especially the Queen. So I don't know if this is going to be part of the thing. I like having characters being sassy towards the Daleks, because like, oh, the Daleks are typical. Oh, they're so like that. I really want the Doctor to do that a few times more in the future episodes. I think there have been a few times where the Doctor has mocked them for such things, as well as other things. But 3 episodes in, it's becoming a bit repetitive. Maybe we don't need to have much more of that in the next couple of episodes. Well, as much as I did enjoy it in the first 3, but it's now starting to become a bit repetitive. Other than that, it's just a fun, simple, enjoyable, but overall filler episode that nicely slots into place, and maybe it's starting up what's going to be happening. It's setting up what happens next week in episode 4, and maybe what happens in episode 5. But at the moment, it is as it is. It's a kind of a filler episode. My opinion on this episode might go up on a rewatch, or should episodes 4 or 5 continue the story in the episode story in a great way. But at the moment, episode 3 just feels like filler. I wasn't disappointed in this one. I liked it. I like it more than the first one, but it's still a kind of a more fillery episode. At the current time, out of the first 3 episodes, episode 2 is my current favourite so far. So that's really about it from me. Thank you for watching this reaction to Daleks, episode 3, Planet of the Mechinoids, as well as the new Dalek design being officially revealed on the cover of Radio Times. Yeah, we got it in the poster, but we get the first proper picture in Radio Times. So I'll end off by saying thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.